Some of the risk associated with suicide. A person that had previous suicidal attempts could potentially be at risk. A person that had a history of drug abuse, drug use disorders, substance use disorders, by all means could be at risk. A history, family history. There are people who have had loved ones that committed suicide. We want to make sure that we are aware so that we can provide some type of insight for them. If you have guns or firearms within the home, could potentially be a risk. Definitely not if you are in control and you have a good handle on your emotional state, but it could potentially raise a risk. Being in jail or incarcerated or being confined to a very small place could increase your risk in terms of increase your anxiety, your agitation, definitely puts you at risk for suicide or a higher risk for suicide. Being exposed to other suicidal behaviors. If you have been exposed or you are exposed to someone that has been suicidal in the past or they are talking about it all the time, could potentially place you at risk. Many people that have chronic conditions such as, or terminal conditions, medical conditions, definitely are at risk because they have to live with the fact that potentially they have this condition for the rest of their life, or they could slowly be declining in their own health and just want to end it all. Those are people that are at risk. Not to mention, we have people between the ages of 15 and 24 years old and 60 or greater are at a higher risk. Our children who are a part of or involved with being bullied are at higher risk of getting depression and anxiety and potentially taking their own lives. So we want to make sure that this is not at all an inclusive list. I want to make sure that I'm doing my part by making sure that you, the people that I care about, are informed and are so aware of some of the risk factors associated with suicide. Now we're going to move right on into some of the cues, some of the things that you may hear, see, or observe as it pertains to suicide. So in terms of signs of suicide, I know many of you are just like, well, what do I look for? How does this happen? I just want you to know that 70% of the people that commit suicide did leave some type of cue, but it wasn't noticed by someone. So when you think about it, these are things that you normally wouldn't think could potentially lead to someone taking their life, but it's good to know what some of those things are so that in the event that you hear them, you're able to address them. Things such as life isn't worth living, I will be glad when I'm gone, or once I'm gone, you're going to miss me, or you're better off with me dead, or they are better off with me dead. My family would be better off without me. My loved ones really can live without me. I won't be around to deal with that. That's something that's huge. You will not be around to deal with that. Those are things that they are letting you know that they anticipate not being around. And I just cannot deal with anything at this point in my life. My life is in shambles. I can't deal with it. I'm not going to be around to deal with it. There's nothing more I can do. You'll be better off without me. Those are some of the signs. Nobody understands me or needs me, so I shouldn't even be here. These are some of the verbal cues that you may hear. If you hear that a person is saying negative or pessimistic type things, then that's definitely something that you want to notice. And if you are the person that's actually feeling this way, we want you to definitely get help. In terms of the actual behavioral cues, now these are a little different, but definitely I want you to be aware. If you notice that a person is working really hard on if they're normally carefree, but now they're all of a sudden interested in getting things in order, getting their affairs in order, things like updating the will, creating a will, getting insurance when they didn't have any insurance, but now it's a great urgency. or they want to change their beneficiaries, yeah, definitely start asking some questions. When you see a person actually giving away things that they hold very close to them, there's a reason why you want to definitely ask questions. If your friend or loved one is really shying away from you, you definitely want to probe a little bit, because social withdrawal is another sign or behavioral cue, and increase a person taking unnecessary risk as associated with their life. If they're doing things that they ordinarily wouldn't do, there's a great likelihood that they're doing things that they are putting themselves in harm's way. And if they're putting themselves in harm's way, then there's a likelihood that they have a plan. And a person that is planning a suicide do things like they do searches on their web search engine for explosives, or they may do things like look for guns, or go out and buy a gun, or buy certain weapons, buy poisons, different types of poisonings. Things like that are definitely indications of a person is thinking potentially about or planning their suicide. This is not an all-inclusive list, but just some of the behavior cues that you may see with a person that's actually at risk. Another thing that you could potentially see regarding emotional cues, you would definitely see a person with a low mood. Those are people that actually, when they have a low mood, or is a continuous low mood, or are low energy level, they're moving and they're talking like this, or they're moving really slow, they're not as engaged as they normally are. Those are people that you would definitely want to just ask a few questions. When you see a person that's hopeless, they're always pessimistic. They see the glass as empty or half empty consistently. Those are the people that actually may need your help. Anxiety, or they may have inner pain. If you see they have internal conflict, inner pain, they're suffering, they're hard on themselves, there's a great likelihood that something's wrong. Sometimes you will see even rage and anger, or rage or anger. It doesn't have to be together, but definitely you see that out of a person that ordinarily is really calm or laid back. Or a person that actually is calm when they are always the opposite. That could be indicative of that person thinking about things, or they've reached a level of contentment after they've decided that they're going to end their life. So you definitely want to look for a person that's being really calm, laid back, that's normally not that way, because they could have potentially accepted the fact that they're going to end their life. This is not at all an all-inclusive list. There are other things that are out there in terms of emotional cues. I just want you to be fully informed. If you are a person that's actually thinking about suicide, know someone that is, I want you to reach out to your nearest ED. I want you to or call 911, or call the National Suicide Hotline. There are so many people willing to help you, and we really need you here. I need you here, and so does your family and your immediate friends. They need you here. This is Dr. Mo. I hope that this has been extremely helpful for you. By all means, please like, share, and subscribe, and add comments. Let's talk about this. Let's remove the stigma associated with suicide. I look forward to having an open dialogue with you. Thanks. Have a great day.